So, who are you guys here for?
Sexy True!
Sexy True, okay, let's go. Dan Green, oh hey, it's up on the screen now. So, as you may know, this panel is for Dan Green. So, but who is he famous for? Or playing? Or, yeah. Knuckles the Kidnap. Hey, cool! Sonic fan, fantastic. Okay, yeah, not that person. Alright, anyway. Okay, so the thing is, I think he's somewhere around, but I'm gonna have to get you to, like, you know, chant his name. Yeah? So. Dan Green, 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 Dan Green. That's not loud enough. He's not gonna come out. Dan Green! Okay, you know what? Stuff to chanting. I'll just get you to yell out his name. On the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. I think you're gonna have to do a bit louder than that. Right, so once again, you are here for...
Oh, motorcycle!
Oh my god! Thanks, Drew. Hey guys, what's going on? Not much, so, whatever, we're here at the convention. You guys having a good time? I have never been to Perth. I am having a great time. It's a great city. You fans have been awesome. It's been great to get a chance to see y'all and your wonderful costumes. So thanks for having me here. It's been really wonderful. I guess you probably want to ask some questions. Is that right? Okay. No? Okay. Good night. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, whatever you guys want to ask.
All right.
Drew will run around and we'll get your...
That's right. So if you want to put up your hands, I will run.
Yeah, and be sure to keep your hands up until Drew gets there.
You're obviously more famous for your part as Yugi and Yami in Yu-Gi-Oh! But don't you wish some people would focus on some of your other projects?
I am, yes, bitterly resentful that nobody recognizes me as soldier number 1 in... No, okay. No, I know what you mean. I feel grateful for whatever attention that I do get for the work that I've done. I mentioned this yesterday in the panel. I never assumed that, you know, I would have fans by any stretch of the imagination. But it is interesting because, you know, people think, like, you guys know the little Karibo thing, right? Which I think is hysterical. I haven't seen them all, just a few episodes. But what I think is funny about that is that guy, he's not making fun of the Pharaoh, he's making fun of Dan Green, right? And of course, Dan Green always talks like this, you know? It's like, no, not really. You know, I've done other roles. But I really enjoyed Samurai Deeper Kyo. That was awesome. I don't know if you guys ever hear Descendants of Darkness? So nobody has, I guess. But that was fun, because that role got to be dramatic, but also kind of wacky, and Nabucco from now and then here and there was really good, because it was a good acting role. There were some challenging things to do, emotion, you know. So, but no, I'm never like, oh, they only like me for this one role, oh, poor me. But I had the sweetest experience this morning, though. There was this little girl, and she came up, and I don't know, she must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and she was just so, you know, shocked and whatever. It's like she almost, I mean, I think she actually started crying, I mean, I was hitting her, but it was so sweet. But it was for Knuckles, you know, and it's like, you know, most people are like, yeah, do the Pharaoh voice, you know, and I'm like, you want to hear the Yugi voice? I'm like, not so much. To get people to be fans of Knuckles is awesome, and so I'm just grateful for whatever attention I get, because I'm pathetically lonely. Not true. Who's next? Sure, the guy with the bow tie.
The bow tie.
Thanks for dressing up.
As a voice actor, do you prefer dub or sub when it comes to anime?
Oh, well, as an audience, in terms of what I like to watch, is that what you mean? Because as a voice actor, I obviously prefer dub because that means I can work. Sub, no. But as somebody who watches anime, and I do, I don't watch all anime. I won't watch something just because it's anime. I mean, it has to be a good story. I had a similar question to this yesterday. If it's something that's like a piece of art, you know, like a film that is really like amazing, I want to hear it in the original language. I do know how to read. and so subtitles are not objectionable to me. But if it's something that's more sort of mainstream entertainment, I'll most likely want to hear the dub, you know. Partly because, you know, if it's done well, it can be awesome. Very rarely it supersedes the original. And also, you know, it's something that I do, so I'm kind of curious to see, oh, hey, is there anybody I know in that? And, you know, and how good a job did they do? So, yeah. This lady right over here with the white hair.
Have you ever done a line that when you look back at it now you cringe and wish you could have done it differently?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm certainly not a flawless actor. And what can be aggravating sometimes is that, depending on what the production situation is, you don't have all the time in the world that you would prefer to have to get something just right. And I think something that can be difficult is if you are generally pretty good at doing it, meaning like overall your performances are usually okay, you know, or usable, and you can dub, you know, quickly. Sometimes they're just like, yes, thank you, that's enough, let's move on. And I'll be like, no, don't, that was not good. And they're like, no, it's fine, let's move along. I'm like, oh, okay. But fortunately, I don't think that describes most of the work that I've done. But, you know, you just gotta learn to live with it, you know? So, next question. Yeah, this guy right here with the fedora. That's a fancy word for hat.
Yes, it is. How did you get into voice acting?
I bribed people, and that worked out well. I had a friend who was doing stuff. I didn't really bribe people, that was a joke. I was doing mostly theater, and I thought that's what I was going to do with my acting career. I didn't really want to do TV or film. And, but a friend of mine was doing some anime stuff, and he said, well, hey, why don't you come in and do some background voices in one of these cartoons? And I was like, no, that's okay, that's okay. And he was like, no, come on, it'll really be fun. I'm like, okay, I'll go do some voices. And it was like really simple stuff, like, you know, like, get him! You know, and whatever. But then that show was being done by the same studio who was dubbing Pokemon. And so my voice was kind of in the studio while some people who were working on Pokemon were there and like, oh, hey, this guy's got a good quality. And so they started bringing me for Pokemon stuff, and then one thing just sort of led to another, and here I am. Yeah. So it was dumb luck. It was totally dumb luck. Yeah. Next question. Yeah. This guy right here with the other hat on.
You're known for doing the huge heroes with the big manly voices and all that sort of stuff, but which do you prefer actually voicing, the heroes of an anime or a villain?
That's a great question. Very often villains are more interesting to play, they're more fun, because you get to do things that you would never do in real life, you know, and it's been often observed that the villain is what's making things happen, and the hero is responding to that. So in a way, a villainous role, you're doing more interesting and aggressive things, you know. But that said, you know, it's also fun to be the hero. It really, though, depends on what. I mean, I really had a lot of fun with Kyo in Samurai Deeper Kyo, because similar to, you know, Yugi and Yami, there were two aspects. So there was this kind of goofy, harmless aspect, but then there was this, you know, Kyo, who was this real tough guy. And yes, he was heroic, but he was by no means a nice guy, right? So those kinds of characters are fun to play. That was also, I mean, there's an element of Knuckles that is that too, you know. He's not a nice guy, but he's on the right side of you know, of the team. So, yeah. Let's, somebody else who has, you in the back there. Yes, you keep it up, so Drew can get to you.
Can you mind crush the crowd?
The crowd? The whole crowd? So I'll just say mind crush and on all of you? All right. Are you ready? Mind crush! You're welcome. I have destroyed your minds. Great. Yeah, it was great, honey. Yeah, the crowd, I crushed their minds. They loved it. What? Next question. Yes, you, with the blue hair. Right over here. And the butterfly headphones.
What are your top 3 favorite voices to do?
That's a good question. You know, the Pharaoh's fun to do. I also like, there is a show you guys don't think ever got to see called Pat and Stan. And have you heard that? Pat Stan, okay, so you've seen it, right? You've seen the dub version? Okay, so this show comes from France. It was a really well-animated show. It was totally wacky humor, like literally, like, a lot of the episodes are like fart jokes, okay? Which is totally up my alley. And Pat's this dog who lives with Stan. I'm sorry. Stan is a dog, and Pat's this big gay hippo. All right? So it's really fun to do characters, you know, like the Pharaoh being very manly, you know? But then with Pat, I just got to be totally ridiculous, you know? Stan, I'm having a problem, I'm getting a little hungry, could you make me something to eat? You know? And, I think if I were, you know, to have to play either one of only those characters, you know, you can only do this or that would get boring, but it's great to be able to do both. And I also, one thing I think that was fun to do just because it was a departure was Trico in Pokemon. Because, you know, it's all just intention and you're just saying, you know, the Pokemon's name. It was Pikachu! Trico! Trico! Which, yeah, I got him with the Trico, Mom! They like the Trico! But it's because most people don't associate that with me. You know, most people are like, Dan Green is Little Karibo. So, who else? Next question. Yeah, right here.
Think much about animating.
Sorry, the mic's not. There we go. Yeah.
I was just wondering, you're incredibly cute. Would you do any on-screen roles?
That's very kind of you. I have nothing against doing on-screen stuff. When I first got out of school, like I mentioned, I was pursuing theater, and I mean, I did little things on soap operas here and there, nothing worth watching, trust me. Oh, but I did do 2 independent films that really sucked. So watch out for those. But that was a long time ago. And then in about the year 2000, I was feeling really ambivalent about the industry. I loved acting, but you really have to be hungry for it, you know? So I decided to take a step away from that stuff, and I just happened to fall into doing voiceover work, and then that turned into my life for the, you know, the rest of the 10 years or so. I have been considering maybe going back into it, though. You know, so it's, yeah, maybe. And thank you for your kind compliment. I didn't hear that, but apparently your daughter doesn't want me to. You in the back. With, yes, don't put your hand down. There he is.
Alright, so when you voice a Pokemon, does it ever get annoying that you're saying the same word over and over again?
Yeah. But it's no big deal. And what's fun about that is, again, you're always playing an intention. So what if it's the same name over and over and over? You're playing a character in a situation, you know? That Pokemon probably will never wax philosophic, but that's really not what the show is about. So, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. Sometimes I check myself and I'm like, oh really, man, do I have to do this again? Okay, I do all these, and then I realize I'm a grown man in a sound booth saying these things and getting paid for it. You know, maybe I should just count my lucky stars and be thankful. So, you sir.
What's your favorite 4Kids project you've done?
Probably Viva Pinata. That was fun for a lot of different reasons. It was a silly show, it was a fun show, and what you may not realize is that was done different than dubbing stuff, because, you know, dubbing stuff, somebody else does it, you have the animation, you're matching to that. Viva Pinata was what we call prelay, which means that the voice actors were recorded first, and the animators animated to our performances. And what's fun about that as a performer is that you have more freedom, you know? There's a certain challenge to dubbing, you know, to make it sound naturalistic while you're fitting your performance in this very specific thing. But, yeah, so by doing prelay, you feel like you can take much more possession over the character and what you do with it. And Hudson Horstachio was the character I played in that. And, you know, he was totally arrogant, and so I got to have fun being a real conceited jackass, almost literally. He was a horse. So that was a lot of fun. And it was good old traditional humor, you know. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was great, but that's obviously somewhat related to a card game. I don't know if you're aware of that. But with Viva Pinata, even though that was associated with the game, the stories and the episodes themselves were all character-driven, and and really silly and fun. So I really like that one. Yes, you over here. This guy. That guy with the hand up? Yeah.
Can you please say it's time to duel?
Sure. Let me cover some bases because it might get some more requests on that. With what?
Not a light conviction, like a life depends on it.
And a director too. Oh, I say it with conviction. That's what I was getting wrong. It's time to duel. Whatever. Okay, so I'll do a little Yugi and then I'll finish off with the time to duel. Okay, right? Grandpa said I can always believe in the heart of the cards. That's right, Yugi. It's time to duel! That is so silly. You guys are awesome. Yes, you.
Have you read the Yu-Gi-Oh manga?
I read the first one, like that kicked it off, but I didn't follow the series, right? I did that to get a sense of how the manga was departing from what I was working with in the anime, which obviously, so, you know, the Japanese did the anime, which was different than the manga, and then it got changed again to what they needed to do in the US. I'm actually a comic book fan. So you'd think maybe I would have read the whole manga, but no, I didn't, because at a certain point, while I wanted to be respectful of where it came from, I have to make what I have to work with work. So it's just like, okay, I know the Pharaoh was a lot more hardcore in the manga, and there were other story elements that were different, but I can't tell that story, I need to tell this story, right? Next question, you, sir. The trench coat.
Are there any characters in other shows that you really like and you wish you could have voiced?
That's a good question. I've heard that one before. Actually, I'm not the kind of actor that's like, oh, he got that role and I didn't, and darn! I mean, there's a lot of great characters out there. But I don't sit there and say, you know, gosh, poor me, I didn't get to do that. There are some characters. I love superheroes and stuff like that. So, you know, it would be great to do Captain America or something like that in some form of animation, whether it's a video game or a series or a movie. He's a favorite of mine. I would like to do Batman, but I love Kevin Conroy so much that I think that I would be unworthy. You know, it's like I don't deserve to do this. Yeah. And maybe the animated version of Han Solo, if they could do that. You know, that's just my childhood dream coming true. You way in the back with the orange hat on there. Yay, you win! Hooray!
Hi, was there anything you tried to get across with the voice of Yami and Yugi?
You mean what was I aiming for? Yeah. It's interesting because that went through some changes early on, and I mean in the very first episode there was less differentiation between Yugi and Yami Yugi. But then as the show went on, they realized they wanted Yami to be bigger and more masculine and in your face, more commanding and regal, which doesn't really make sense because he's like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old boy, but whatever, that doesn't matter. And they pitched Yugi up to be a little higher, but in terms of the qualities that we wanted from the Pharaoh, it was that he was extremely loyal, commanding, confident, and majestic. You know, you had to convince the audience on a certain level that he was summoning these mystical creatures. So what kind of a voice would you believe being able to do that? So I tried to tap into a sense of grandeur and a sense of relevance and commitment that would make me believe that the voice coming out of my mouth could summon the winged dragon of Ra! Or whatever. Yeah, but that's what we were going for. And also that he's taking care of Yugi, right, in a certain way. I don't know if you might remember, but that all happened around 9/11. And I do still live in New York, but that was a weird time for New York City, for the whole nation, and in a way, kind of the world. But so I'm dubbing like the 5th or 6th episode when that happens. The show hadn't even aired yet. It was originally going to air, but then the crisis happened, and then that was postponed. So I was trying to get my head into the game, like, you know, okay, I'm needing to record this show, but it's a cartoon, and so many people just died, and the world is a different place now, But then I thought, okay, I gotta commit to something. So I thought, well, maybe this show is helpful in the sense that it will be a form of entertainment for some kids who might be kind of freaked out now, you know? And so I think another thing I was trying to get across with the Pharaoh was that here's a hero you could rely on and who was, you know, willing to fight and, you know, take out the bad guys and that sort of thing. He wasn't messing around, you know? He wasn't like this, hi, I'm a hero! No, he was like, I'm gonna kick your ass, right? You know, sorry, but the kids that are present. So, yeah. The guy over there, I'm liking the hats today. I'm like, you got a hat? Yeah, I'll answer your question. There he is.
How many different kind of accents can you do?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Most voiceover actors should be expected to do a facsimile of a few accents, right? So there's British, but like there's various forms of British, right? You know, there's some soulflower and stuff, right? You know, and then there's like, you know, Patrick Stewart, you know, there's going to be more formal and stuff like that. Russian is another thing you must be able to do, and I don't know why, but every time you do Russian, you have to speak lower. It just works that way. And then Censorship French, you know, it's very important sometimes to be able to talk like a French person, trying to master, as you say, what's the word, another language, you know? But those are all not great versions of those dialects. You know, those are okay versions of those dialects. And really, if you want to do a super job with a dialect, you need to study it, you know? But there's a difference between, like, a convincing version of a dialect and the cartoon version of the dialect, you know? Where you're almost making fun of it. So perhaps you could have a very light French accent, or perhaps you could have a very exaggerated one, and nobody speaks like this, you know? So it really depends on the situation. Yeah, good question. Yes? Why aren't you elegant?
I just want to know what your opinion is on Yami and Yuki's wardrobe, all the leather and the chains and studs.
It is weird! It's weird! Why? Oh, you know, I don't know if I look quite right. Maybe I'll put a belt around my neck. And a millennium item that could kill me if I fell over. And how much starch are in those jackets? Because they're always blowing back, even without the wind. No, I mean, obviously, what was fun about it was, you know, it was just so wild. It was so crazy. Like, nobody has that hair. Nobody should have that hair. That's weird hair, you know. But I thought it was a cool look, and obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Comes up after Pokemon, trying to catch the interest of kids who feel that they're too old for that Pokemon stuff. That's stupid. Now I'm going to play with God cards. So I thought it was interesting. I thought it was neat, and I like the overall darker feel of that show. So I thought, oh, cool! I get to be a part of something that has such an interesting design element and has a cool energy to it. And I thought the theme song that came up for the U.S. version was pretty cool. Especially the duel thing, but I had nothing to do with it. You. Yeah, him. Yes, the clown.
Could you please do me a favor and wish my friend Emily a happy birthday?
As Yami Yugi?
Yes.
How did I know? Emily, I wish you a very happy birthday, and thank you for coming to see me in Perth. So funny the things I've been asked to say over the years. It's always a pleasure. Birthday messages on answering machines and outgoing voicemails or whatever. One young fan just in Sydney asked me to whisper something suggestive in her ear, and I was like, okay. I hope I don't get arrested for this. But yes, you. Wait for the mic, because everyone wants to hear the question.
What was the first anime you ever directed?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess a couple things. I really enjoyed doing Kyo because I thought it was, you know, one of the better animes out there. And even though I had to work with myself, you know, I'm a very difficult actor to work with. So I'd be like, no, you got to do it this way. I'd be like, no, I don't. I want to do it my way. But that was great. And I also directed part of Jungle Emperor Leo, and that was a nice piece of animation. But there's this other series that you guys probably don't even know of called the Gokusen. And, oh, you do know? Okay. And I think I really enjoyed that show because it was so different than everything else I'd been doing. Up to that point, it was this silly little drama. The premise is this daughter of the head of one of the ruling Yakuza clans needs to take over for her father whose health is failing. And she's also a teacher at a high school. So she's leading this dual life, and there was just a lot of fun, silly stuff. We had a great cast, and I also got to adapt that too and use some more naturalistic language, which was fun. So that was just fun. I don't know that it was the best thing I've ever done, but I really enjoyed that. So, yes, you. Yeah, you with pointing at your own head, yes.
Well, what do you think people are looking for in an idea, historically and in any idea, basically?
What are they looking for in an anime?
Yeah, or just the whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum?
Yeah.
I think people want characters that they can be involved with, right? More so than they want necessarily a visual spectacle. You can look at lots of different kinds of animation, and what people I think gravitate to most are characters that they can identify with, characters that they can root for, characters that they can hate. If you don't have a good villain, you're not going to have an interesting story. I tend to like more adventure stuff, you know, maybe stuff that's a little bit more sci-fi or supernatural, you know. I'm not saying that that's what the world wants. Apparently lately what the world wants are zombies and vampires and werewolves, and I'm like, that's cool. Zombies aren't that interesting though. You know. But anyway, not that I think that people who like that are bad. And I also think that people like a sense of scope. You know, like they want to be involved in a story that where the world can be at stake. You know, or something really important needs to happen, right? But having that within a context of a real personal relationship to the characters. If it's just the big story, then you don't really care, right? But if you're caring about the people in this big story, like Lord of the Rings, you know, I mean, that's amazing. Everybody can relate to that. So, does that answer your question? That was a pretty general answer. All right, cool. You with the purple flowers and the, yeah, right there. All right, well, she hasn't asked a question, so you, yes. Yeah, you.
What do you think of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 10th anniversary movie?
I thought it actually came out pretty well, except for my performance. No, I'm kidding. I tried to do the best I could, and it was really fun to do that because I hadn't done Yu-Gi-Oh! In like years. So it was kind of like getting reacquainted with old friends, you know. But the movie's pretty short, but I think it really plays well and is entertaining. And even though I don't duel, I know from people who do that they thought that the dueling within the movie was good, you know, interesting. They pulled some cool moves, and I think it's interesting to get the leads from the 3 series together, you know. So we had a good villain, and yeah, I think it was actually for me more entertaining than the first one. So yeah, you, yes, right behind her.
Could you do an Australian accent for us?
No, I couldn't. I would embarrass myself. But I'd like to learn it. I'd like to learn it. I just think you'd be like, yeah, Dan Green, he's great. He has Australian accent, not so much. You know. He's a nice guy. Who hasn't asked a question yet? Anybody? The guy in the back there with glasses. Are you guys warm? Is it just me? Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Being one of the greatest animes of all time, what do you think?
Obviously.
What do you think of the other spin-offs?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I think they're great. I think though that they might have missed the boat in terms of anticipating what the fans wanted. You know, I think that with GX, it got very, very gameplay oriented, and it was kind of brighter, and I think they tried to make it funnier, which I don't think is what people liked about the original series. And then I think they might have overcompensated with Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, you know, putting it in a bleak future and trying to make it cool by having motorcycles, you know. And I know the little Criddle quote, I've been asked to say that a number of times. But I don't think that they're bad, you know. But I think one of the things that people might like about the Bonds Beyond Time Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie is that they get to see Yugi and the Pharaoh again. You know, I think people enjoyed, you know, having that energy back up on screen and not be a rerun, you know. I mean, is it still showing here? No? Okay, all right. Yeah, so there's that. Yes? with the Pikachu.
What was your favorite scene to voice in Yu-Gi-Oh?
I think it was the final, the whole final duel between Yugi and Yami. That was really sad. But that was emotionally charged, so that was fun to act. And then from the very first season, I think I really started understanding what it was that I needed to do when I turned around that duel and, listen to me when I turned around that duel. And I assembled Exodia, and then so did Exodia Obliterate, and charging that moment with the strength that character was feeling. That was like, oh, that's fun. I think I might like doing this role. Because how often you get to say the word obliterate over the course of a day, So, yeah, I had dinner last night and I obliterated it. It was awesome. So, yeah, those are two of my favorites. This gentleman right over here.
Do you ever play around with voices when you're out in public, like ordering pizza?
When I wanted to get arrested, was that?
Ordering pizza as the Pharaoh?
Right. I'd like a large pepperoni pizza. And some garlic knots! I could basically just shout anything and you guys say, that's all. But I don't play with people's minds in public, but my wife also does voice work, and so people ask, oh, well, do you guys do voices at home and just playing with each other? We're like, no, we don't do. Oh yeah, actually we do. So yeah, it's fun to play with your imagination, and see what comes out of your voice. I have no illusions like I'm a man of a bazillion voices. I'm certainly not. But I was saying this to somebody earlier. You're not limited by how you look, right? When you're performing with your voice. So if you've got a pretty fertile imagination and you understand what you can do with all the different ways of using your voice, from what kind of range you're putting it in, whether it's higher or lower, what kind of texture the character has, what are their speech patterns, their rhythms, do they have some sort of speech impediment or something like that, So yeah, there's a lot to play with. Let's see. We only have a few more questions, right, Drew? We're running down on time? Okay. So, just want somebody who hasn't asked before. This gentleman way in the back.
I don't know if it's been asked yet, but what was your favourite episode?
Oh, yes, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh, you mean? Yeah, that was asked. I think that was the final duel, I think. I was really looking forward to that conclusion, and I thought story-wise, it was interesting and they did a good job with it. This lady right here, she's a follow-up question, I guess, with the orange. There you go.
Okay, who was your favourite villain in Yu-Gi-Oh?
That's a great question. I thought Kaiba was a really good opponent. What's that? I stand corrected. But I wasn't finished talking, so I was going to say I thought Kaiba was a really good opponent because he had dimension, because he was doing he did a lot of questionable things, but for a good reason. Pegasus I thought was cool too. Again, this is the first season was sort of archetypal, it sort of set the stage for the rest. And Merrick was all right, yeah, probably the relationship to Kaiba and Pegasus. Yeah. Yes. You're not going to let your mom ask any more questions, you're like, no.
Who do you look up to for your voices?
Oh, you like in terms of an inspiration as a voiceover artist? That's a really good question. Well, I mentioned previously that Kevin Conroy's Batman was I was a big fan of that because it's just so cool, and I'm a big superhero fan. Jim Dale is an amazingly versatile voiceover. An actor who does voiceover. He does the Harry Potter books, the narration for that, and his work on that is considered legendary. But let's see. I don't know. I guess that's pretty. It depends. If you're thinking about actors that are extremely versatile, that's one category. If you're just looking for, you're talking about an actor who portrays a character that you really love, that's something else. So Jim Dale's really, really versatile and a great actor, and I just, because I'm a big, superhero fan, I love Kevin Conroy's Batman. So, yes, you, sir. Yes, you. Or maybe, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
What advice would you give to someone who wants
to get into it? Yeah. The first thing you want to understand is that it's about acting, right? I think when we're presented as voiceover actors, we're kind of reversing the understanding. It's actors who do voiceover, right? So do yourself a favor and get some kind of acting training, some kind of acting experience. Maybe it's just doing like a local play or something like that. But it's not about doing funny voices. It's about committing to moments and telling a story. Voiceover acting in animation is the most similar thing that you can do to real acting, as opposed to like commercial stuff or just narration that you're hearing on the TV, like here's the leopard running across the field. No, that's not acting. So do that and explore your creativity. You know. Let's see. In the back, the guy with the necklace thing on. That's you. I'm just trying to make it hard for you, Drew. All right, I win.
Have you actually played with Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Yes, and I am terrible at it. I met this other gentleman here. The black. Look, there he is.
Was that you doing the voice in the cameo for the first GX?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that one great line I said. Yeah. I actually met this guy here with the. There he is. He's waving at you. The blob. It's okay, Drew. It's been a long day. You're doing a great job.
Who's your favourite Sonic character besides Knuckles?
They're all great, and even though we don't record at the same time, you get to know these actors and really like them. But I think probably Mike Pollock as Eggman. I think he does a great job, and he's also a sweetheart of a guy. Yeah. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Where's Drew? Oh, okay. Right here. Another one from up front.
This is my exercise for the year.
Which character do you like best? Kyo, Demonized Kyo or Kyosho?
Right. It's kind of similar to the Yugi-Yami thing, right? And I don't think that Demonized would be as interesting without Kyoshiro, and vice versa. So I think it's the duality, but I think that most people think that Demonized Kyo is cooler, so therefore he's the better character. You know, and I can't argue with that. But I mean, Kyoshiro was pretty wacky. He was a lot of fun, and obviously he was ultimately the most, important. Even more powerful than Demonized. And this man has been very patient. Thank you.
You do a lot of acting or voice acting with characters that have issues. And I mean, like serious issues.
Totally. It's not acting.
But you also bring something very different to each of those different issues.
Nice.
Is that like one of the, how do you do that? Is that the best thing that you do? Or?
Oh, I don't know if that's the best thing that I do, but when you're a performer, you take a look at the character, what their situation is, and no character is exactly the same. So it's about understanding what makes that character unique, right? So what is their particular emotional condition? What is their challenge? What is it that they're working through? I really enjoyed doing the character I did in Giant Robo, the redub of that, because there was a lot of complexity there, and he went from being very smooth and in control to going crazy, But you always want to honor the material. It's not about, I'm doing what I want to do with this character, regardless, A good actor is always doing something in service to the story, in service to the character, right? Two questions. 2 questions? 2 more. You, sir.
With dub work, do you sometimes get angry when they edit things out? As in, basically, the Japanese animes are a lot darker sometimes. In Yu-Gi-Oh! In particular, they kill people, and we say they've been gone away.
Wait, you mean they died? When it's for something, reworking Yu-Gi-Oh! To make it appropriate for American audiences and younger audiences, I understand why those choices are made, right? So I don't think that categorically that's a bad choice and you stupid 4 kids try to change everything. No. But a lot of the other stuff that I work on goes directly to DVD, so it's not changed. And yeah, I do think that has the edge, that has the, like we were talking about, unique aspects. That's part of what makes that genre unique, you know? That it's not meant for little children, you know? Lots of anime should never be seen by little children, and maybe some of it should be seen by, you know, adults, but only with careful psychological consultation. So, yeah, no, I thought anime was striking and vibrant and daring and interesting and bold because it did things no other animation had done before, right? So, I mean, look at Akira or Akira, however you want to say that. I mean, that is some messed up stuff, you know? One more question. One more. Right here, wait, you in the back? Okay.
I don't know if anyone's asked this yet, but can you please say, let's do?
Well, I've never done it with a stutter before. It's time to duel, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, you ready? You guys are gonna get so sick of this. It's time to duel! So is that the last question, Drew?
Yeah, that is.
All right.
And that wraps it up for the panel with the awesome and dynamic Dan Green.
Just wanted to say, I don't get to say it enough, I am so grateful to be a guest here. And you guys have been awesome. And I'm completely blown away that I have fans, and I couldn't ask for better ones. So thank you again, and have a great time.